like banter like this together if we work together too long. But we are K-5 math teacher support specialists, and we're here to support anything and all with regard to math in the district. And so today we're so glad to welcome you to a number sense routine. It's a number talk, and we're gonna kind of get started with this question here in the chat. Respond when in the chat, or you can unmute as well. What is a number sense routine that you have tried this year with your students? And again, feel free to unmute or to plop it in the chat. We'll be glad to see what you're doing there at your sites. Maybe you have some knowledge for us.
So I personally don't know exactly what number sense is. So I've just been using Benchmark. So maybe if you explain it to me, maybe I have used it, but the term,
okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So number sense would be like just activities that kind of build that curiosity around numbers for kids. So it could be something as simple as a number talk, like what we're going to be doing today. It could be, just asking the students when they're looking at like a math problem, maybe what do they notice or what are they wondering about? Build that curiosity and build about that idea of different things that are going to be in and around numbers. Could be mathematical terms, vocabulary, anything. So,
okay.
A lot of people refer to it as fluency in terms of number sense, being flexible with numbers, being accurate, and having different strategies to be able to solve problems. So if that kind of gives you a little bit more of a hint too. Good question. All right, Nina, skip counting games. What are they playing? Give me an idea.
Just the skip counting by fives, twos, just getting them fluent with the even numbers. Let's see. We came up with a game. It's tic-tac-toe, like 3 in a row. They fill in, they're given numbers. They fill in the spots where they want. Then we roll the dice and we'll say the dice double it. And they have to cover that number. And then first one, 3 in a row is the winner. We'll say
so that's like fun.
Yeah, double plus 1, or I'm working with my daughter who's substitute teaching with 2nd grade.
Oh, so that's good. That'll definitely be something that they need to practice. They definitely need to practice with that the doubling and knowing those different ways and strategies to be able to do it. And Ashley, number talks and class hero. That's something new this year to the district. So I hadn't heard about how that's going. So
there's just a few teachers using it, but they seem to like it. So it's building fluency, which is great.
All right. So that might be something for Fabiola. If you hadn't heard of that, that might be another opportunity for you to be able to use as well. All right, so let's talk about number talks in the classroom. So one really good thing about number talks is you can do them in person or you could do them remotely. They're going to work well within a hybrid setting as well too. So one of the things that you're going to see from this template that we're going to be sharing with you, and you guys have the presentation in there. And I think it looks like Luz, you just joined us, so I'll plop that presentation inside the chat as well. So inside this template, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be color coding our responses based on strategies. And so in a traditional number talk sense, you might see kids putting up like a finger, putting up their thumb if they have one strategy, then adding an additional finger for each strategy that they might have to solve a particular problem. So within this number sense template, we're going to be able to be color coding that, and we're going to be able to see what each student is thinking about and how many different ways they can be flexible with solving a particular problem. We're also going to have a place to record their solutions, because we always want them to do this in a mental fashion. We do not want them writing it down necessarily to solve it, because we see traditionally most of our kids go to that algorithm and don't have a conceptual understanding of what that algorithm really does mean. So in this fashion, the students can type in their solutions within the chart, or if you have younger kids, K through 2 kids who may not be as experienced with keyboarding, a teacher can be recording those solutions and those strategies as to how the kids solved them within this number talk template. So we also want them to be talking about it, because we know kids who talk about it and talk about their strategies and have that math discourse learn more from their peers and learn more from that discussion than they do with probably hearing the teacher in the background. And I think of the Charlie Brown, wah, wah, wah. Do they listen to our strategies? Even though we know the strategies, they listen sometimes more to, oh, I like how Ashley did it. Oh, Ashley did it this way. And they're more likely to adhere to those particular strategies. So this is really an opportunity to get them sharing, whether they're in front of you on the computer or in front of you in person. And then the last thing is that we want students to connect and reflect. And you can do this in a variety of ways. If your students know how to do those emojis inside the chat, they can add those to connect to, yeah, that was my strategy. In a traditional sense, we might see the kids, you know, where they said, did you use this strategy? And some might do that little, yes, I did that strategy, or no, I didn't do that strategy. You might see those different hand signals that could be used in that place as well. But there are different ways to kind of show and connect how to do that inside within the number talk template that we're about to show you. So Tammy, would you go to the next slide? And so here's all the buzz, okay? So you notice that we have a problem already waiting for you inside the template. Now I'm gonna ask you to solve this mentally. Okay, no using your information on the side. I know you're already thinking about that. You notice that I've already have a spot highlighted up at the top inside the student tab. I've put my name and my initials. You can go ahead and follow along and put your name and your initial. Let's say you have more than one Jennifer, more likely on my generation, but if you don't have more than one we can go ahead and just put your first name as well. And let me explain what we're going to do here. Remember that color coding? So the color coding that we want you to do is we want you to say, if you have one strategy, we want you to color code your box red. If you have two strategies, color code your box yellow. If you have 3 or more strategies right now that you've thought about in your head for solving that problem, go ahead and color code your box green. And what we're going to do here, and I'm going to give you some think time, because I do want to make sure you guys give that think time in your class, is think about right now how many different strategies you have. And then in just a moment, I'm going to ask you for your solution in the chat. Okay, Tammy's got 2 strategies. Start filling in. You should be able to edit in there. How many strategies do you have to solve that problem? Thanks, Ashley. See how many you have. And really, we had a question about this earlier in one of our presentations. They said, what if kids are shy about it? Really just encourage them to even have one strategy. Even if it's like as they're hearing those strategies that are coming up, what strategy did they adhere to at the end of it? Maybe they have just one go-to strategy of how they do it. And that's okay. We want to build that flexibility. We want to build that fluency. All right. So now you've had a few seconds, minutes to think about that problem. Why don't you give me some solutions to that problem? And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to model it as if you guys, I'm going to type it in there for you because I want to show you how it could work with like a younger grade. But again, Fabiola, I know you mentioned you have 5th graders. Your second, maybe even your, third, fourth, your 2nd through 5th graders should be able to type this information into the chat. And what we encourage is also wrong answers, because sometimes those wrong answers can evoke good discussion on how they figured it out, just as much as the right answer. And I know you guys are adults, you're gonna hopefully know the right answer. So just kind of take this part with a grain of salt. So what was the solution that somebody came up with? And go ahead and unmute yourself or feel free to plop it in the chat. 17. Okay. I'm thinking a kid that might not quite understand this concept might say the number 23. You guys may ponder of why I think they might say the number 23. Okay, someone else put in their 16. Any other thoughts? And we can put in as many as we want here. And the reason that we're going to do all of the different ones we came up with is so that we can kind of talk through each of our strategies and each of our solutions as well. Okay, so I saw another 17. Let me go ahead and put a 17 in there as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and model like the kid that said 23 since I put the 23 in there. And what I'm thinking of is in kind of in your brain, before you initiate a number talk, and we have a little planning a template with inside your resources that you're going to gain today. And inside there, what it has is it kind of has you think through the anticipate the different strategies that kids might use. And if any of you have worked with kids, sometimes what they don't understand with regard to subtraction in this case is they always tend to put the bigger number on top and then subtract from there. So I'm thinking that if I was a kid that thought this was 23, I would have probably, and you'll hear them say something like this, they might say 3 minus 1 equals 2, and 4 minus 1, even though it's going to be the 1 minus 4, equals 3. So my answer is 23. Okay, and so you have that sort of, you're modeling what they're telling you in terms of your strategy, and you're also putting this up there. Now, for you, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to then solicit somebody's answer that probably had a different way of thinking or had a different solution to the way the problem was. So I'm going to ask somebody who said 17 to go ahead and unmute and tell us what your strategy or rationale was.
I just calculated from 14 to 20. I knew that was 6. And then I knew there was another 10 more to get to 30. Added the 6 and the 30, or the 6 and the 10, and then added the 1.
Okay. And so what I'm doing is just typing that in exactly how you said that. And another one.
They were smaller numbers. It was a little easier to calculate that in my head rather than trying to borrow from.
Oh, absolutely. So 6 plus 10 plus 1 equals 17. And I'll ask you, did I capture your strategy correctly on that? So I added 6 to 14 to get 20, and then another 10 to get 30, and then another 1 to get 31. So 6 plus 10 plus 1 equals 17.
Correct.
All right. Anyone else thought of it a different way then? Fabiola presented one way that she thought about it, which was to use adding to solve that subtraction problem. Did anybody else do it a different way?
Fabiola's very advanced compared to me. Okay, so I just made 14 friendlier and saw it as a 10.
Okay.
And just did 31 minus 10 is 21. And then took away 4.
Okay, so make 14 friendlier to make a 10. And to make, I should say, make it a 10. And then what did you do? And then added 21.
And then I did 31 minus the 10 was 21.
Okay.
And take away 4.
All right. And took away, that's a pretty advanced way too. And took away 4 to get.
So she subtracted the 10.
Subtracted the 10.
Ah.
Hold on, I'll fix it. I got it.
Oh,
Don't
she
worry about
subtracted. Okay, gotcha. So sometimes this helps too. And one of the things that we did here, and so some of you, if you happen to think about, having kids using their base 10 blocks, we've added some base 10 blocks also over to the side. I wanted to also tell you that students could also, if they're able to, within the chat, I'm going to kind of go up and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Do you see these tools that are up here along the top? There's like a line tool. There's also a shape tool. And I don't know if you can see me doing that in there, but you can go into the like align tool and you could literally add a line, let's say, in there. And then you could be showing, like maybe the different hops that the students are making in terms of how to do that as well. And thank you, Tammy, for adding this in there. So you can see there's lots of different opportunities for how you could, record those responses, and those responses could be maybe when you're having the students explain their responses, they could be using a whiteboard on this section as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to go in the form of this template. It could also be that they're explaining that strategy and holding this up within that. And I was kind of thinking of a pre-way to record some of these strategies is maybe have our students do those on a Flipgrid, and then we're discussing those strategies perhaps even like the next day as well. So I really do think this is kind of a neat little template, and it's really good to hear all the different strategies. You could do more than one of these templates. Let's say if you wanted to have students working on that with you in a small group, or if you were doing this as a whole class, there could be lots of different opportunities for you to do that, and you can kind of see how to use that there. All right, so that's pretty much it on how to do a number talk on there. I've kind of almost jumped to the next slide on that, and I'm thinking, Tammy, if you would go ahead and advance it to the next one. So what are some other ways? I've given you kind of some ideas of how you might adapt this routine to a hybrid setting. Do you guys have any other ideas on how to do that?
I like the idea yesterday that someone suggested. I don't remember who did it. It was where they suggested that they would actually do breakout rooms and send the kids out with the thing, and in the breakout rooms, they could actually talk to each other and have a chance to do that on one of the activities. So that's an idea.
Okay. I know I mentioned having them record like a solution that they might have to the problem on a Flipgrid, and then you guys working, and listening to the different examples of how each of the kids solved it. I think that might be a nice, way to bring in that asynchronous piece, and then be really thinking about all the different discussions that could have, and the teacher is really recording all of these in front of the kids so that they're latching onto one that they may particularly like.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer and Tammy, I think you mentioned this earlier, but if I was to share this with like K1 teachers, do you just suggest having the kiddos orally tell them, and then the teacher fills in the template?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as I would use, anything that I could that might represent those structures that our kinders and our first graders need, for instance, a 5 frame or a 10 frame, maybe even base 10 blocks. I know they're not going to be that far advanced, but some first graders probably could be doing that as well. But we're talking about just different things for them to be able to visualize and see the math, because they may not be able to be reading exactly what you're writing in there, but they might be able to see or interpret those visuals that you're sharing with them as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I know we were also talking about having our students be able to do this in small groups as well. And it could be a teacher-led discussion with inside your small group. So if you know that some kids are struggling with a particular concept, maybe that's the time to pull them back. And then inside that small group, inside your teacher-led time, you could be doing this template. And again, sharing that information, having them share that information with you. And I do believe a Jamboard would also be a great way to use a number talk. If you haven't done a number talk within a Jamboard's another awesome resource that you could be using to do a number talk as well. So great ideas, guys. Hopefully you got some more with that. All right, and I don't think I answered that or asked that other question that was on there, but do you guys have any other routines? We're going to have so many different ones through the month of March, and going down a bit to the slide 8, we actually have a whole a lot of opportunities this month to come to other routines. But if you have a routine that you're really thinking about and you want to see, let us know, because we'll do it. We'd like to make sure that you have that opportunity to look at that as well. All right. So Tammy, I'm going to send the rest back to you so you can share that information with them.
Sure. All right. So we promised a make and take, some actual you can use right away. If you're on the name of make and take, you'll notice there is a hyperlink. If you just go ahead and click on it, it will take you to it. And of course, mine's not where. There we go. And here, what we have for you is we have a folder full of resources and actual examples. But if you go first through the 1 through 4, the first one really is just a guide. It's telling you an overview of what a number talk is and how to run a number talk. Then we have the template without all of our stuff on it for you to use if you'd like to use that template. Then we have our K2 instructional sequence, how that is kind of laid out, how you might have an idea to do the number talk, and then the 2 through 5. But if you go into the examples of a number talk, what's in there is Jen has actually separated them out per grade level, where if you were with us last night, we weren't able to do that. But this time we are able to do that because there's so many examples out there. So you go in there, they're pre-made, you can use them tomorrow on these. So you really don't have to do as much work as you might have had to do for Coral County.
So Luz, I didn't hear what grade level you're working with. What grade level were you working with? I know Fabiola's working with 5th grade. Raina, you said you're working with a 2nd grade teacher. I think it's your daughter-in-law. And I know Ashley's got K5 because she's there at Dolores Gonzalez. But which ones would you be most interested in looking at, Luz?
Hi, I teach 3rd grade.
Okay, so you see there's like those 3rd through 5th grade examples there that you can use. Tammy, would you mind clicking on those just to show them kind of? I like to say which ones are in there because we know as we advance in 3rd through 5th grade that kids are working not only with fractions, but they're also continuing those operations of addition and subtraction, as well as multiplication and division. So when you get into those categories there, she just showed one that was in partial products, but within that 3 through 5, there's also disaggregated between multiplication, division, addition, subtraction ones, fractions, all through different grade levels. And that really depends on where your kid's at and what strategies you might be working with them on. So great resources you could be using, and you have them already laid out within that, as well as the template that we gave you to be able to share that with students in your classroom. So thanks for sharing that, Luz, and Tammy, thanks for sharing that group. I know our computers are super slow.
So yeah, you'll notice on here that it's just the picture. You, if you're wanting to use that template, you'd have to take it over to the template.
Yeah. Oh, and just a reminder on all of those templates, you might want to just make a copy of them. I don't think it will force you to make a copy, but you can make a copy through there. And then you'll have them saved to your drive. So that way you're not always having to go through our drive to go and get them. So make a copy when you have them there. All right. So,
well, everyone, thank you so much for coming. If you in the chat before you head out, just give us one little small nugget, one takeaway that you're going to take away. It could be as is, you're going to take it, or it's something that you're going to say, I like that, but I need to just tweak it a little. But just before you leave, plop in the chat one small nugget you're going to take away from today. And thank you, everyone.
And I like, Fabiola, that you said number sense and different strategies. So do you have a better sense of number sense now? We'll work with you on there if not.
Thank you.
And remember, our information is also at the bottom of that slide presentation we shared with you. So you're welcome to reach out to us. We are here to help as well. Ashley, cool. Template is very easy. Woo! That's the reason we'd like to do these. And this is a remote way of doing it, but the traditional way works just as well too.
All right, everyone, that's everything we have, and have a great day. Hopefully this actually got you motivated today.
We have more of these sessions next week. So take a look at your flyer. It has the meet code. Join us for those other sessions as well. What's the next one, Tammy? Do you remember?
It's quick images.
Quick images. That's a very good one also for our upper grades. And share this information with teachers as well. That's your site.
Bye, Ashley.
Thanks a bunch. We'll stay on if you have any questions too, Fabiola or anybody. Raina, cool. Take care.
Thank you. I apologize. I had to jump onto my iPad and take a picture of the QR code because when I typed it in on my computer, it wouldn't let me join the meet. It said nobody was there.